We had looked at a number of systems, commercial off-the-shelf systems, and what we found was that they were expensive, the customization was expensive, and the support costs were tied to the ultimate contract cost. So the support costs never went down. Yeah. And we didn't want to be in a situation that was going to escalate like that over a number of years. So that kind of led us to look for alternatives.
Yeah,
and
that's what led you to developing your own software.
That's what led us to develop our own software. We saw what was on the horizon is we were looking at very expensive support costs and a very inefficient systems, because we had two systems, both ran on the mainframe. One was written in an ancient language called COBOL, which of course is like, hieroglyphics now. The other one was a SQL Server system, and those systems didn't talk to each other. So there was a real need to have an integrated system, and there was a real need to get it off the mainframe for cost purposes. And so that's what led us to develop our own system. And in doing that, that's when we discovered Magenic. Magenic is a software development company out of the Bay Area. Actually, they're out of Minnesota, but they have a big presence in San Francisco and a presence overseas as well, I understand. This county has a history of doing a lot of things that are very innovative in terms of government. So it's part of the local culture here to kind of look at this and go, what solution is going to work here for us? So there was a lot of staff input. This system was actually built and designed by pension people who actually have to use the system, interact with members, get reports out of the system, get information out of the system. So they knew what they were looking for.
What a great approach.
And Magenic, these guys really knew how to take what we articulated to them and put it together in such a way that we could use it. And so what we've got is a system we feel is really usable. It's very intuitive, and yet it's robust enough. It has a lot of sufficient features to make it a long-lasting system. I think another thing is that we built it so that we could get reporting out of it from the staff. We didn't have to have a programmer prepare our reports. In the old system, it's of interest to us when we pay retirement benefits how much money is paid in the county versus how much we pay out of state. And so I asked them to do a report on zip codes, and it took me 2 weeks to get this report on how my benefits were paid by zip code. With RAD, I can do that in about 5 minutes.
Wow.
We've asked for other reports that we had to have programmers come in and actually build a report and describe. With RAD, we have very robust ad hoc reporting capabilities where we can set up a report for almost any kind of data field in the system that we want. Mm-hmm. There are also a series of canned reports we built into the system, but we kept those to a minimum so that users would have the flexibility to get the information out of the system that they wanted. This RAD does everything from accrue service credit and track contributions, to calculate benefits, to issue retiree payroll, to refunds, to issuing annual statements, 1099s to retirees. It does all of it, soup to nuts, the whole 9 yards.
What about implementing? I mean, data conversion. I mean, those are all.
Data conversion is the scary cuss word in this business. Yeah. Two things were to our advantage. One is we're a relatively small operation here compared to some of the other systems that have to do data conversion, but it's a scalable operation. The second thing was that the system was built in such a way that once we knew what format to put the data in, it was easy for the Magenic people to take that data and convert it to the format we wanted. RAD accepts data on payroll feeds from ADP, which is the biggest payroll processor in the country, and from SAP, which is I think the second biggest payroll processor in the country, and from Excel spreadsheets, and from any other kind of almost format that you want to put in. We can put the data in RAD and get it into the system. We started building RAD in 2005, and we went live on a parallel basis, which means we ran RAD over here and we ran our existing systems over here and compared the outcomes from October to December of 06, and then we shut the old systems off in December of 06 and went completely live with RAD and did our first year-end processes, which is a big deal for us, in RAD at the end of 2006. One of the things we built into the system was, being a smaller system, we did not have a web presence for our members. Mm-hmm. And that's very important in retirement now as this generation gets ready to retire. It's a much more computer literate. They want to go on and see this stuff. They want to know what their accounts are. Mm-hmm. We were able, as part of this process, to build a self-service presence into RAD. And that's the front end of the system that you see when you go online and look at it. Members can log on with an email address and a password that we assign them. If someone wanted to use this system, because it's a web-based system, you can host it anywhere in the country.
Well, Tony, the million-dollar question at the end of the day, you've gone through this whole thing, and what a journey.
Yeah.
Has it been an economical solution?
It has been incredibly economical for us. Our support costs went down from the potential of 200 to 250,000 a year to about 90,000 a year. RAD was built so that the operators have a great deal of flexibility and control over how it's configured. In other words, in the old system, if we had a new benefit formula come along, and county and unions are great at inventing benefit formulas, we would have to have a programmer come in and program that system. Now, staff can go in and program those new formulas in themselves, those kind of things. So that saves a lot of money in the long run. Reporting saves a lot of money in the long run too. So there's not just the day-to-day cost of running the system and the day-to-day cost of support, it's the features in the system that allow us to operate it versus requiring expensive programmer support to do some of these things. And that's what brings the greater economies to it than we had initially anticipated. One of our trustees said, and I'll take the words right out of his mouth because he lets me do this, but it saves us money every day. Every day we use it, it saves us money.
Well, I love the name RAD.
Well, that came
RAD
back.
could have been bad.
Well, it was bad at one point. When we started, it was, we didn't know what to do.